This is Steve Robbins. Welcome to the Get It Done Guys, quick and dirty tips to work less and do more. This is my last episode as the Get It Done Guy, and I'm going to be handing the reins over to the wonderful Rachel Cooke. Hello, Rachel.
Hello, Stever.
Now, I know that it sounds like I'm interviewing Rachel, but in fact, before your very eyes, we are going to switch roles. So she becomes the Get It Done Guy, and I become the interviewee. Take it away, Rachel.
Okay. And in fairness, it's probably really before their very ears that I'm going to take the reins. But either way, I am ready to sow my oats. So let's go ahead and dive in. So Stever, what I would love to do with our time today is tap into the wealth of wisdom and insights that you have provided to this audience over many years. And I would love to start with a story from your brain about productivity. Can you give us an example, an experience you had, a lesson that you learned over the years?
Sure. One of the more interesting experiences I had is several years ago, I went to work for a company. And I was put in charge of putting up a new website for a particular project that we were working on. This was going to be the such and such initiative, and I was the one who would create the online website. Now, let's be real here. I have created so many websites in my life. It takes me about 10 minutes to get a new WordPress site up and running. And then if you actually want some content in it, great. That'll take me a few days. But basically, this is something that I can do so fast that it will make your head spin. So I sat down, went into my office and thought, this will be easy. I'll just knock this out in an afternoon. And it took 6.5 weeks. Now, being the Get It Done guy, I was paying really close attention and asking why. Why is this thing that I know for a fact is a day activity because I've done it 15 times? How is it possible that this can take an entire 6 weeks? And what I discovered as I just paid attention to where are the delays, what's holding things up, is that although for the last 12 years on this show, I've talked about personal productivity, this was not a problem with personal productivity. This was a problem with organizational productivity.
So tell us more, Stever. How do you think about what organizational productivity means?
Well, with personal productivity, it's all about getting things done within the sphere of what you control. Organizational productivity is about how the different people and the different organizations within a larger organization link together. So even though every single person in an organization might be very, very productive, if you only look at how much effort does it take for them to get through everything on their to-do list, the organization as a whole might be very unproductive. What was going on in this case is that my priority was getting this website up. However, this was a large organization. And in this organization, they wanted to be very, very careful about making sure that the branding was consistent among all of their communications to their shareholders, to their audiences, to their prospective customers, to their existing customers. And what that meant is that all of the colors had to be the same colors. The logo had to be the same official logo. And then the message, the actual text on the different websites had to be compatible with each other. They had to give the same message, have the same branding, the same value propositions. When we said, this is what we do, I mean, it's got to say roughly the same thing everywhere or else people will get confused. But the problem is all of these people, the IT department and the marketing department and the brand people, they all need to have input into my little website that I'm just throwing up in an afternoon because they need to make sure that this is consistent with the organization's needs. And what happened was those groups, the marketing and the IT groups, they didn't have the same priorities that I did.
I love that story, Stever. I think it is incredibly relatable. I think we've probably all had those experiences where the path to getting it done is so clear. And then the reality of other people and systems and competing priorities set in. And suddenly there is an incredible messiness that we need to wade through. Your story also resonates with me personally, as my background is in organization development. And I think that there is something really powerful in what you're describing here, in that I believe we all have the power to create our own success, professionally speaking. But I think one of the important things we can lose sight of is we need to really understand the system that we're working in and how we can navigate it effectively. And it sounds like you learned a lot from the experience that you just described.
Oh boy, I sure did. Now, the other question though is, and I'm going to turn to you because you're an organization development person. What can I do as an individual so that doesn't happen again?
Okay. So one thing that jumps out at me, and I do think that you alluded to this, is the concept of gaining buy-in for what you need to get done. So what I heard you describing is Stever had this website he needed to get up there, and he had a plan for getting it done, but he needed partnership and approval and collaboration from other parts of the organization. And so I think the first question is, had young Stever figured out how to articulate a value proposition for that work that would have gotten buy-in from other parts of the organization? So, for example, if you're looking to put this website up there and this is one of your goals, your priorities, have you thought through what is the broader impact for the organization? If this website gets up there, how does it positively impact the business, our ability to deliver, our ability to service our customers? Because sometimes what we need to do is tell a story that is bigger than just ourselves, and it's big enough to engage the partners and collaborators around us whose support that we need.
I think our overarching thing that might have encapsulated everything would be saying that the initiative that I was working on had to do with being able to collect input from these different constituents to build success for the organization 3 to 5 years down the line.
Then that's totally fair, because still what you're describing is the act of finding buy-in, right? The way that we create buy-in is by figuring out what is going to make somebody else care about what I'm trying to get done. And whether it is about servicing customers, long-term, big picture, or keeping fires from getting set, short-term, smaller picture, it's really about thinking through what is going to inspire somebody else to care enough about this project to get off their seat and come collaborate with me.
So what if at the end of the day, they just don't care?
So that is a totally fair question. And I think if you find yourself in that position, there are probably a couple of questions you need to ask yourself. The first one is, am I focused on the right priority? If I am the only one in the organization who seems to care about this getting done, am I focused on the right thing? And sometimes we need to take a step back and recognize, maybe not. And it might be that this just isn't the right time and place for this project. But if you do step back and reflect and say, no, this really is important, the outcome of this is really going to help drive the organization forward, then sometimes it is about moving up your own chain and getting what I like to call air cover. So if you're not able to motivate your colleagues in marketing, in IT, sometimes it's about going to your boss and maybe your boss's boss. And maybe that alignment and that collaboration needs to be established at a more senior level of the organization.
What if I go to my boss and I say, hey, boss, I need alignment priority-wise with IT and marketing. And my boss agrees. And my boss goes to the head of IT and the head of marketing, and they all get agreement that alignment is necessary. And then my boss comes back to me and says, the things that they're working on really are important enough that your project is the one that should be stalled instead of theirs. What do I do then? Because it seems to me if I just am sitting around twiddling my thumbs and my boss knows that because the project is stalled, I'm kind of collecting a salary for doing nothing, and that looks bad.
It does. And I would not recommend that as a strategy. But what you might do instead is say, great, then here's how much capacity that gives me back. I am a resource of yours. How can I be useful? Right? Hey, boss, what's big on your priority list? What can I take off your plate? Is there a project that I can take a leadership role in? So it is about asking the right questions of your leader to understand if this isn't where you're going to add value, where can you add it instead?
Okay. So I go back and I go, great, boss. While I'm waiting for them to get their act together, tell me what to do as I wait.
Or even better, there are 3 other projects that I see going on out there. Would it be useful if I jumped in project A or B or C? So come to your boss with a proposal, not just an empty open question, but rather, here are 3 projects I see. I think I can add value. Do any of these make sense? Or do you have another suggestion? But it's always valuable to have a starting place when you are connecting with your boss in that kind of context.
Gotcha.
Stever, I think that we have extracted a couple of insights from this one example. And as I take on the reins of the show, I'm sure we will cover many more examples, many more insights over time. But for now, I want to thank you for being here with me today. It has been an incredible pleasure spending this time with you. I know the audience feels the same over the many years that they have listened to you. And I would love for you to share with us a little bit about what you're doing next. What's coming up and where can people find you?
Well, I am going to be transitioning into something else. I don't know what the something else is yet. I am also going to continue expanding and growing the Get It Done groups that I developed based on the Get It Done Guy material. And people can find me at steverrobbins.com, and you can sign up for my newsletter to hear whatever it is that's going on. Thank you so much for your support. I'm sure you're going to love Rachel, and I hope that all of us have a chance to work less, do more, and have a great life. Rachel?
We have all learned an incredible amount from you. I am honored to take the reins and fill these shoes. I really believe we all have the power to craft our own success at work, and I can't wait to dive into some of the topics that I am most passionate about.
I'm Rachel Cooke, your new Get It Done Guy host. I'll be popping in each week with insights and tips on how you can create your own success at work. Join me next week for my first solo episode. I'll be talking about how to gain recognition for your accomplishments without ever having to drop a humble brag. I promise it's possible. Tune in to hear more.
If you've been following the storyline of Bernice and Melvin and Grandma Cuddles and Thomas, go to getitdoneguy.com/Stever, where I've prepared a short YouTube video telling you where the characters came from and at least what I know of what happens next.